I have finally watched Dark Season 2 on Netflix, and after loving the first season, I was excited to see what the second had to offer. I was not let down, and this season only raised the bar and added to an incredibly precise and complex show with many important themes and characters. Season 2 expands upon the first by exploring other characters more deeply, and is a rewarding investment in time spent with untangling the family trees and timelines. In this video, I'm going to be analysing how Dark Season 2 is an intriguing experiment in how looped events and themes of determinism can play into growth and evolution. There will be plot events and spoilers discussed, so if you haven't seen Dark, I would recommend catching up before watching this upload. To stay up to date with all of my future videos on Dark, including Season 3, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoy this video, remember to leave a like rating. Without further ado, let's dive into my analysis of Dark Season 2. So having watched Season 2, I was particularly impressed with the ideas that expand the storyline, but also keep it very grounded within what fans love about the show. With its first season, the series managed to take emotion and story surprises to a level a lot of others of its kind struggled to pull off, at least as effectively. Its second season continues this trend and expands the story while still keeping the small, intimate nature to its core. All of the disappearances and search for answers lead characters down unexpected avenues as the town of Wyndon becomes a ground zero of timelines, complementing and echoing back on one another. The second season drops you into the deep end right away, hoping you can keep up and remember how everything's connected. The show smartly moves these characters and their timelines down a path of discovery, to fill their destinies that we, as an audience, may not have realised during the first season's run. While watching Season 2, the audience wants to believe that free will is possible. During all the character paths in this season, this is what makes us still root for them. We want the cycles to be broken and this world to change, and the connection to the characters which are intensified in Season 2 make the entire plot so much more satisfying. We get the beginning of the evolution for all of the main characters, which heightens everything that happened in the opening season. With messages of self-conflict across time and the interconnected nature between the primary families, we get something in Season 2 that is more personal, emotional and sympathetic. There are also a few new characters that make the developments even more interesting and help give us answers towards the questions we had in Season 1. The path to witnessing these character evolutions and journeys in Season 2 begins with the discovery of the God Particle. The God Particle is a swirling mass of black matter which allows some of the characters to travel through time, and as we later learn, it is created in 2020 at Wyndon's nuclear power plant. The big development here comes halfway through the season when Jonas travels to 1921 and his character path becomes more complicated. It's revealed to the audience that the mysterious figure Adam is a far future version of Jonas and the leader of Sic Mundus. Jonas is introduced to Adam and his group, which are a secret society of time travellers in Wyndon who are waging a war on God and in particular time. During their conversation, Adam reveals he is actually Jonas 66 years in the future, a revelation that horrifies the younger character. The idea of fighting your older self who has become realigned with a different purpose makes the main character's journey much more interesting individually and also collectively through the primary themes at play. As human beings, we all deal with inner conflict surrounding time, and to see that metaphorical principle be turned into a physical one in Season 2 makes the stakes so much more important. What's also revealed in this season is that Adam and Claudia are on opposite sides of this war. While Adam and Sigmundus want to destroy the world and start a new one, Claudia wants to stop Adam. The older version of Claudia teaches Jonas all about the past and the future so that he can team up with her younger self to take down Adam, his older self. The older Claudia allows herself to be killed by adult Noah after seeing a newspaper clipping announce her death on the date, but not before she tells Noah's sister, Agnes, to use the guise of selling her out to infiltrate Sigmundus. Because of these key narrative setups, the whole game becomes clearer and the themes of determinism and free will, which are introduced in Season 1, start to deepen while also transitioning into questions of evolution and change. In an almost exciting way, we witness many of the main characters start to understand that time travel is real. The adult version of Jonas reveals himself and the secrets of Mikhail to his mother Hannah. While investigating the caves, Magnus, Martha, Franziska and Elizabeth witness Bartosz return from another time, and he takes them to the 1980s as proof that it works. Eventually, Katerina discovers time travel is real after Charlotte Doppler and adult Jonas explain it to her. After seeing an old class photo, she becomes determined to rescue him. Regina also learns about time travel when her mother Claudia appears in 2020 to rescue her dying daughter from the impending apocalypse. I do think we could have seen more of the characters like Ulrich after how good he was in Season 2, but having finished the season, all of the scenes he's involved in, such as the older version in the psychiatric ward and the scene with Hannah later on, elevate the characters and the story which is put in the limelight. When Hannah meets with Ulrich, he asks about his wife and children, and although he tries to convince Hannah that he loves her and will leave the real Katerina, she knows it's not true and leaves him locked up. The evolution of her character involves her staying in 1954 to start over, perhaps with a young married Egon, if that flirtation between them was hinting towards something more. But the evolution starts to really take place when Claudia lets Egon die after he learns that time travel is real. He wants the caves investigated by the police as he understands they are important to time travel, but Claudia wants to protect the God particle at all costs and engages in a struggle with him. Egon is left critically injured after hitting his head, and Claudia initially calls for help before letting him bleed out and die in order to keep time travel and the God particle from being discovered. After a trip to the future, Claudia had learned that this was the date her father died and had tried to prevent his death in the 80s, and she was devastated when she realised she was the cause of it. This is what Dark does so well throughout most of Season 2. We see important events happen and it shows how the characters evolve into who they are set to become. But it goes beyond this to suggest the possibility of free will and change. After Egon's death, a young Jonas tells Claudia that if he comes with her, they can prevent Egon from dying, so she abandons her life and daughter to try and break the cycle. This is something that I'm guessing is going to be one of the primary themes of Season 3. In Season 1 we saw what happened, in Season 2 we saw why, and then in Season 3 there will be a potentiality for change. It's hinted at many times during Season 2, and it sets up the final season perfectly to explore these ideas. But some of the other big twists that emotionally connect to the thematic ideas of why things are happening the way they are in Season 2 involves the integral first scene in Season 1. We find out that Adam tricks Jonas into having Michael kill himself. One of the character's biggest motivations in Season 2 is preventing Michael's death. After Adam says that saving Michael's life will save everyone else's, including Martha's, Jonas travels to 2019 in order to convince his father to not take his own life, even showing Michael his suicide letter. However, we see the difficulty and complexities surrounding free will in the cycles we see unfold, as it's revealed that Michael was not considering ending his life until Jonas explains the situation to him. During the conversation, Michael also shares that it was a future version of Jonas who led him into the caves as a child and caused Mikhail's disappearance in the first place. Despite knowing this, Jonas still asks his father to live on now, but Michael decides to sacrifice himself so that Jonas can be born. The older Claudia explains to Jonas that Adam manipulated him into causing his father's death, but she agrees with Michael that this is a necessary sacrifice because a world without Jonas isn't necessarily a better one. Other bombshells in Season 2 which show the tightness of this loop include the reveal that Noah is Charlotte's father and Elizabeth, her own daughter, is Charlotte's mother. After Noah discovers the missing final pages of the notebook and finds out his daughter is Charlotte Doppler, he decides to turn on Adam after learning the truth and that Adam lied to him in order to get him to do his bidding. It's here that Noah is then killed by his own sister, Agnes, who was an ally of Claudia and has infiltrated Sic Mundus in an attempt to stop Adam. What astounds me during moments like this is that the show writers are able to fill in such complicated gaps, but also leave room for their characters to evolve in the narrative structure, even though we can see their loop becoming more clearer and determined as the episodes pass. It's dealing with characters becoming aware of their past history and future alongside their emotional struggles towards not being able to currently affect it. It makes a show dealing with time so intricately more compelling as the characters within that time drive the pull of the audience. All of these individual character journeys, which are taken as seriously as each other, come to a head as the apocalypse, which is referenced throughout Season 2, begins to take place in the finale. It turns out that it was all triggered during a series of simultaneous events. The 2020 apocalypse occurs when the God particle is activated simultaneously across the 3 cycles, showing once again the interconnecting nature this show does so well. Most of the main characters survive this apocalypse, and at the end of the season, Peter and Elizabeth, Regina, Claudia, and a young Noah are in a bunker together and are able to survive the apocalyptic blast. However, the teenaged Magnus, Franziska, and Bartosz also survive because they are saved by the adult version of Jonas at the last second using his time machine. The adult Jonas decided to go and save them after the young Noah gave him a letter that was allegedly written by Martha with instructions for him. Meanwhile, Katerina is last seen entering the passage in the caves right as the apocalypse happens, so it's likely she survives and is now in a different time. The powerful thread that the season leaves us on, though, is between Jonas and Martha. Jonas and Martha are in love and do not care if they are related. Upon learning the truth about who Jonas is in relation to her, Martha is visibly shaken and upset, but she eventually decides that herself and Jonas are a perfect match. Even knowing the truth of their relationship, the two kiss and the medallion for Saint Christopher, the patron saint of travellers, that Martha and Jonas found in the sand at the lake that day becomes a totem for their love. But soon after, the shocking event unfolds, as Martha is shot by a time-travelling Adam and she quickly dies in the arms of young Jonas. Adam reveals he kills her to ensure Jonas eventually becomes Adam. He says to him that some pain you can't forget and that he'll carry this pain all his life until he is ready to let go of her. But as Martha bleeds out, we get the big reveal that other universes also exist. Jonas nearly dies in the apocalypse while he is mourning over Martha, but he is saved by a different version of her. The question isn't what time, she says when he asks her what time she is from, but what world. At this point, Martha pulls out a golden device that turns out to be a small time and/or space machine, and the two escape just as the shockwave from the apocalypse reaches the Carmwood house. It seems that the end of Season 2 has set up a potential second world for Season 3, introducing other alternate versions of all of the characters. This second season of Dark takes the great foundation built by its first and escalates the stakes, the emotion, and the evolution of its storyline. Dark is more open with its secrets this time, allowing first season mysteries their natural evolution while new strands begin to burrow deep into its fabric. It's exciting, this new approach of not holding on to anything for longer than needed. Everything is moving quickly and for good reason. The threat is more physical now and more a sense than a presence by letting surprises achieve their maximum effect. The show holds these surprises close to the vest, and for good reason. They're tied to character impact, delivering on them to further their journey. The second season, at least in its first half, has these impressive reveals built in such a way that it changes the way you view the show. I was really captivated by the expansion of smaller characters and how every little piece of the interconnecting puzzle plays an important role in the overarching timeline of the show. The themes and intergenerational storylines in the opening season have only been deepened from what was explored in season 2, and the emotional payoff, especially between Jonas and Martha in the final episode, is something that can be now centralised in season 3. The characters are just far too compelling to abandon in their never-ending hours of need, and the challenge of having these characters break the cycle is something that keeps me gripped throughout each episode. For me, Dark offers an existential playground that few other shows dare venture into. So regardless of the bar that's been set in the first 2 seasons, like the finale suggests, there's plenty of room for more mind-bending episodes on time and evolution in season 3. Dark Season 2 is a hugely successful effort, proving itself as one of Netflix's absolute best in their lineups. Backed by a mesmerising score, superb cinematography, tone-appropriate locations, and the drive of the creators, Dark cements itself as one of the most engaging science fiction series of the last decade. But regardless of what I thought, I'm interested to hear what all of you guys have to say on season 2, so let me know down below what your reaction was to watching the season, alongside your thoughts towards the evolution of certain themes and characters in the Netflix series. To stay up to date with all of my future videos on Dark and other content on many upcoming TV shows and movies, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like rating. I will be uploading my video on season 3 in the next few weeks, so look out for that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.